Welcome back to another fascinating deep dive into the world of rare and valuable coins, where seemingly ordinary pieces of pocket change can turn out to be worth small fortunes. And today's spotlight is on one of the most intriguing and lesser-known treasures of American numismatics, the 1987 Jefferson nickel. A humble 5-cent coin with a face value of just 5 cents but in certain rare circumstances commanding an astounding value of $937, making it one of the most surprising stories in modern coin collecting history. And the reasons behind this remarkable jump in worth lie in a combination of unique errors, minting anomalies, historical context, and the ever-growing fascination of collectors who are willing to pay premium prices for pieces that combine scarcity, condition, and intriguing backstories. And to fully understand why this particular coin can command such a high price, we have to start with the basics of its production. The Philadelphia Mint in 1987 was tasked with striking millions of Jefferson nickels as part of the regular circulating coinage, and at first glance these coins seemed utterly routine, bearing Felix Schlag's classic design of Thomas Jefferson's portrait on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse. But hidden among the masses of perfectly ordinary strikes were a small number that contained remarkable minting errors that would later capture the attention of dedicated numismatists. And these errors ranged from off-center strikes that showed portions of the blank planchet, to double-die obverse examples where the inscriptions like Liberty or In God We Trust appear with noticeable doubling, to improperly annealed planchets that resulted in unusual colors and textures, each of these flaws making the coin instantly more desirable to the right buyer. And perhaps the most valuable are the coins that combine pristine, uncirculated condition with a dramatic error such as a full off-center strike or a bold double die, because in coin collecting the intersection of rarity and condition is where the real money is. And while most 1987 nickels are worth only their face value or slightly above in circulated condition, the rare high-grade error coins can sell for hundreds of dollars, with the finest known examples pushing the value toward that jaw-dropping $937 figure. A sum that seems unimaginable for a coin still within living memory. But such is the power of rarity and collector demand, and of course the historical context adds another layer to the story, as the 1980s was a decade when the U.S. Mint was modernizing its processes, yet still susceptible to human error, and 1987 saw no special commemorative nickels, meaning all high-value examples from this year owe their premium entirely to mint errors or superb preservation. And serious collectors know that Philadelphia Mint coins, lacking the mint mark, P, prior to 1980, were still relatively new and bearing the PE mark, adding subtle collectability to issues from the early and mid-80s, and there are even rumors within the numismatic community that a small batch of experimental planchets were accidentally used in production runs that year, resulting in slightly different metallic composition or weight in some coins, which when authenticated can send values soaring, and this has led to a thriving niche market for 1987 nickels where experts carefully weigh, measure, and examine each coin under magnification to detect even the slightest anomaly, with collectors attending coin shows and auctions hoping to find the next great discovery, and stories abound of lucky individuals finding these valuable nickels in pocket change, estate collections, or old jars of coins kept in attics for decades, only to later learn they held a piece worth nearly $1,000, and the emotional excitement of such a find adds to the legend of the coin, encouraging more people to check their change closely, and while the majority will never find such a gem, the dream of uncovering a rare treasure keeps the hunt alive. And it's not just about errors either, as the grading process plays a huge role in value, with coins graded MS66 or higher by professional services like PCGS or NGC bringing premium prices due to their flawless luster, sharp strikes, and absence of wear. And when those grades coincide with rare errors, the combination is electric in the marketplace, driving bidding wars among serious collectors. And all of this is why the 1987 Jefferson nickel has cemented itself as one of the more surprising modern coins to achieve a value far beyond its face, becoming a symbol of how the smallest details can transform an everyday object into a prized collectible. And this is why stories about coins like this go viral, because they speak to the universal appeal of hidden value, of treasures hiding in plain sight. and of the possibility that the next handful of change you receive could hold something extraordinary, so keep your eyes open, check those dates, study the mint marks, learn the common error types, and you just might join the lucky few who discover a coin worth hundreds of times its face value. And if you enjoyed learning about this remarkable piece of numismatic history and want to hear more incredible stories about coins worth big money, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another episode in our journey through the fascinating world of rare coins. Next, 1990 65-cent coin. Today in this episode we're unraveling the incredible story behind the 1990 60 USA 5-cent coin, a Jefferson nickel that on the surface might look like any other you'd find in your pocket or change jar, but in certain rare cases can have a face value soaring up to $293 because of the combination of errors, minting quirks, and condition factors that make it a true collector's treasure. And as we peel back the layers of history, production details, and numismatic intrigue, you'll understand why this unassuming piece of metal has captured the attention of coin enthusiasts, dealers, and everyday people who suddenly realize they might be holding a small fortune in the palm of their hand, because the story of the 1990 60 Jefferson nickel begins at the Denver Mint, one of the most prolific mints in the United States, which in that year produced millions upon millions of nickels as part of the ongoing circulation of the long-running Jefferson design first introduced in 1938. But among those countless standard issues, a handful emerged that were anything but ordinary, showcasing rare minting errors such as die cracks that stretch like fine lines across Jefferson's portrait, off-center strikes that leave part of the design cut off while revealing blank planchet space, double die obverse or reverse details that create a ghostly doubled image in the lettering or date, and clipped planchets where a portion of the coin's edge is missing entirely, each of these errors not only making the coin stand out visually but also significantly boosting its desirability and market value. And when we consider the factors that drive the $293 valuation, it's important to look at how rarity and condition work hand in hand in the coin collecting world, because a 1990 60 nickel with a dramatic mint error in pristine uncirculated condition, graded MS65 or higher by a reputable grading service, can command a price far above its humble 5-cent denomination. And while some of these coins were likely spotted early and preserved by sharp-eyed collectors, others slipped into pockets and cash registers, quietly circulating until someone with knowledge recognized what they truly were. And part of what makes this coin's story so compelling is how it bridges the gap between everyday currency and historical artifact, since the Jefferson nickel has been a fixture of American coinage for decades, carrying not just monetary value but a sense of cultural continuity. And the Denver Mint's 1996 output, while massive, was not immune to the occasional mechanical misalignment, die deterioration, or human error that could birth an accidental masterpiece. And beyond the error coins, there are also special varieties like full-step nickels, where the steps of Monticello on the reverse are fully struck and clearly visible, an indicator of a sharp, precise strike that collectors prize. And when combined with a rare error, the price can climb even higher, making the $293 figure not just a number but a reflection of the coin's unique journey from minting press to market. And understanding these nuances means recognizing that every tiny detail, from the thickness of the rim to the alignment of the lettering, can be the difference between face value and a small windfall. And stories abound of people finding such coins in pocket change, inherited collections, or bank rolls purchased for fun searches, transforming an idle hobby into a moment of financial surprise. And historically, coins like the 1990 60 nickel remind us that modern coinage still has room for rarity, that despite mass production, the human and mechanical factors at play ensure that some coins escape the mold of perfection and in doing so become something special. And this is why coin enthusiasts, whether seasoned or beginners, pay attention to dates, mint marks, and tiny imperfections, because each one is a potential gateway into a niche market where passionate collectors are willing to pay for the privilege of owning a small slice of minting history. And when you hold a 1990 60 nickel with such an error, you're holding not just a piece of metal but a tangible connection to the intricate process of coin creation, the quirks of production, and the thrill of the hunt that drives this fascinating hobby. so the next time you find a nickel in your change, take a closer look. Because you never know if it's one of these remarkable 1996 D specimens that could be worth $293 or more, and if you've enjoyed this deep dive into the secrets behind this valuable coin, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more incredible stories of hidden treasures in everyday life, and join us as we continue exploring the unexpected ways history and value can hide in plain sight. Next, 2013 P5-cent coin. Today we are going to unravel the captivating story behind the 2013 P5-cent coin that has caught the attention of collectors and enthusiasts across the country because of its unique errors and mistakes that have made it worth far more than its face value, with certain examples fetching around $73 in the right market conditions, which may not sound like a fortune at first. But when you consider that this is a modern circulating nickel only a decade old, and worth just 5 cents in everyday transactions, it's easy to understand why such a leap in value sparks curiosity and fuels the dreams of treasure hunters everywhere. So let's take a journey into what makes this coin so valuable, starting from its origins at the Philadelphia Mint in 2013, when millions of these Jefferson nickels were struck for general circulation using the same core design that has been in use since the Westward Journey series ended in 2006, featuring the forward-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," along with the date and mint mark, P for Philadelphia, while the reverse carries the classic depiction of Monticello, Jefferson's historic home in Virginia, along with the denomination and the words, "United States of America," and "E pluribus unum." Now, in normal conditions, a coin like this would never command more than its face value unless it were in pristine, uncirculated condition, but in 2013, something interesting happened during production that led to a variety of mint errors that have intrigued collectors and driven up prices in the numismatic market. So to understand the appeal of these error coins, we have to first appreciate what a mint error is and how it comes about, because errors can occur in many different stages of coin production, from the preparation of planchets to the striking of the coin to the final inspection and packaging, and each type of error leaves its own unique fingerprint on the coin, making it stand out from its flawless counterparts. One of the most common and sought-after errors for the 2013 P5-cent is the die clash error, which occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving traces of the opposite design imprinted on each die. So when the next planchet is struck, these ghostly impressions appear in areas they don't belong, creating a fascinating visual anomaly. For example, you might see faint outlines of Monticello appearing on Jefferson's cheek, or parts of the lettering from the obverse showing up in the fields of the reverse. Another error that has been noted in 2013 P nickels is the off-center strike, where the planchet is not properly seated in the coining press, causing the design to be struck off-center, sometimes just slightly, and other times dramatically, to the point where parts of the design are missing and a crescent of blank planchet is visible. And the value of such an error depends heavily on the degree of misalignment, with coins showing more dramatic off-center strikes generally commanding higher prices. Yet another intriguing variety found in the 2013 P nickel is the partial collar error, sometimes referred to as a railroad rim, where the coin is struck while not fully seated within the collar die that shapes its edge, resulting in a distinct ridge or a flanged appearance around part of the coin's edge, which can make it look quite unusual compared to a standard nickel. Then there are examples of broad strike errors where the collar die fails entirely and the coin is struck without the usual constraining edge, causing it to spread out slightly larger than normal with no raised rim. This type of error is easy to spot even for beginners and adds to the collectability factor. Some collectors have also reported doubled die varieties on the 2013 P5-cent, where parts of the design, such as the inscriptions, "Liberty," or "Monticello," show noticeable doubling caused by misalignment in the hubbing process when the dies are manufactured. And while not all doubling is dramatic enough to command high premiums, even minor doubling can be of interest to specialists who are building complete error variety sets. In addition to these striking errors, there are planchet-related issues that can elevate the value of a 2013 P nickel. For instance, a wrong planchet error could occur if a blank intended for another denomination or even a foreign coin accidentally found its way into the production line and was struck with the nickel design, leading to unusual weight or metal composition that keen-eyed collectors can identify with a scale or magnet. Sometimes lamination errors appear where impurities or weaknesses in the metal cause thin layers to peel away from the coin's surface, creating jagged textures or missing chunks of metal, which can be especially striking on the smooth fields of a nickel. Environmental damage is of course different from mint errors, but in rare cases, coins with unusual toning patterns caused by storage conditions or chemical reactions can still attract collectors, especially when the colors are vibrant and appealing. What makes the 2013 P5 so interesting is that despite being a relatively modern coin produced with advanced minting technology that is designed to minimize errors, these anomalies still slip through the quality control process and make their way into circulation, which means that anyone paying attention to their change could potentially discover one and turn a 5-cent piece into $73 or more. In the collector market, the value depends on factors like the rarity of the specific error, the coin's condition, and how dramatic or visually appealing the mistake is. A lightly worn-off center strike might bring a modest premium, while a bold double die or a high-grade die clash could command much more. In auction settings, collectors are often willing to pay extra for coins that combine errors with strong eye appeal, such as sharp details, bright luster, and minimal contact marks, making grading an important aspect of selling an error coin. And while not every 2013 P nickel will be worth a premium, it's the thrill of the hunt that keeps collectors checking their change and examining every detail with magnifying glasses and good lighting, because the next rare error could be sitting unnoticed in a coin jar or cash register till. For those new to error coin collecting, learning to identify the various types of mistakes and understanding their origins can be a rewarding journey filled with discoveries and surprises, and the 2013 P5 serves as a perfect modern example of how minting anomalies continue to fascinate the numismatic community, offering both educational value and the potential for financial gain. So if you ever come across a nickel from 2013 with something unusual about its design, shape, or surface, don't dismiss it too quickly, because it might just be one of these special pieces that has transcended its humble 5-cent face value to become a small but exciting treasure in the world of coin collecting. And that's why this coin has earned its place among modern issues that are worth keeping an eye out for, making every trip through your loose change an adventure that could pay off. And if you've enjoyed this deep exploration into the story behind the 2013 P5 coin and its fascinating errors, be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join us for more exciting journeys into the hidden treasures of everyday currency. Next, 2002 D5 coin. Today we are exploring a coin that many people might pass over without a second thought, but which in reality has a story worth hearing and a value worth noting. The 2002 D5 Jefferson nickel, a coin that in some cases has sold for as much as $164, not because it's ancient or made of precious metal, but because of its rare errors, unique mistakes, and the possibilities that make it highly sought after by collectors around the world. And as we unravel its history, characteristics, and the nature of its imperfections, you will see why a coin minted for just 5 cents can command a price thousands of times higher than its face value. So let's start with the basics, because understanding how this coin came to be begins with a look at its origins, the Denver Mint's production in 2002, and the Jefferson nickel series itself, which began in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel with a portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello, his home, on the reverse, a design that remained largely unchanged for decades. And in 2002 the design was still in its classic form by Felix Schlag, which means that when we find something unusual in this year's minting, it immediately stands out to seasoned collectors. And the Denver Mint is known for high-volume production, meaning the odds of certain minting errors can be greater simply because of the number of coins struck. And when such errors occur, they often pass into circulation unnoticed until a sharp-eyed collector or lucky individual finds one, the kind of discovery that can turn an ordinary day into an exciting payday. And with the 2002 D5, several categories of errors have been reported that can explain its increased value. For instance, one of the most sought-after types of errors is the double die, a minting flaw that occurs when the die used to strike the coin has been improperly manufactured so that the image is doubled. And in the case of the 2002 D nickel, doubling might be visible in Jefferson's profile, the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty," or in the date itself, and such doubling can be dramatic or subtle, but even minor examples can increase the value dramatically because they are visually interesting and prove a rare production mistake. Then there are off-center strikes which occur when the blank planchet is not properly aligned with the dies before the strike, resulting in a coin where part of the design is missing and the remaining image is shifted toward one side, and collectors particularly value off-center strikes that still show the full date and mint mark because these details are crucial in verifying authenticity and rarity. And the 2002 D nickel has been found in off-center variations ranging from slight misalignments to extreme 50% off-center strikes, which are far rarer, adding to their collectability. Another error seen in this year's production is die cracks and die breaks, where the die itself develops fractures from repeated use, and these cracks transfer onto the coins as raised lines or blobs of metal in unusual places, sometimes looking like scars or extra features on Jefferson's face, hair, or clothing, or on Monticello's columns and roof. And while minor die cracks are common and may not add much value, larger, more dramatic die breaks, such as the cud error where a chunk of the die breaks away and leaves a blank raised blob on the coin, are far rarer and can make a 2002 D nickel much more desirable. And then there are planchet errors where the blank metal disc itself is flawed before striking, for example a clipped planchet where part of the coin is missing in a curved bite-like shape, or a lamination error where impurities in the metal cause layers to peel or bubble, giving the surface an unusual and collectible texture, and some 2002 D nickels have been found struck on improperly prepared planchets, even on the wrong metal stock entirely, which is extremely rare and valuable. And beyond mechanical errors, there is also the human factor. Sometimes the mint accidentally uses a die from a different year or mixes dies from different designs, creating a mule error, which is extraordinarily rare and instantly valuable if discovered, although such a mule involving a 2002 D nickel would be almost unheard of, yet the possibility always excites collectors. And another factor influencing value is the coin's condition, because mint state examples with errors are far more desirable than those heavily circulated, and if your 2002 D nickel shows its error clearly while also retaining sharp details, original luster, and minimal wear, the value can jump considerably, pushing it toward or beyond that $164 mark, especially if certified by a grading service like PCGS or NGC, which not only confirms the error but assures buyers of authenticity. And let's not forget about strike quality, because even without a major minting flaw, coins with full, sharp strikes showing every detail of Jefferson's hair and Monticello's steps are more appealing to collectors, but when combined with an error, this quality can make the coin stand out even more in the marketplace. And some collectors also look for die states, meaning the stage of wear on the die when the coin was struck, with early die state coins showing crisp details and late die state coins sometimes showing extra metal flow lines, fatigue marks, or additional die cracks, which in themselves can be collectible. And the fascination with coins like the 2002 D5 cent also comes from their role in telling a story about the minting process and human error, reminding us that even in a highly controlled, precision-driven environment like the US Mint, mistakes can and do happen, and each one of these mistakes creates a unique piece of history that someone can hold in their hand. And in the case of this nickel, the combination of relatively recent mintage, high error potential, and a design beloved by collectors means that examples in top condition with striking errors are quickly snapped up when they appear for sale, often for far more than the casual finder might expect. And it's important to stress that while not every 2002 D nickel is worth big money, those with the right combination of error type, visibility, and preservation can indeed command impressive prices. And the key for collectors and treasure hunters alike is to know what to look for, so next time you come across a nickel from this year, especially with the D mint mark, take the time to examine it closely under good light and possibly even magnification. Check the inscriptions for doubling, inspect Jefferson's face and hair for cracks or extra metal, look at the rims for off-center strikes or missing sections, and scan Monticello for unusual marks or missing details. And remember that even small anomalies can be worth investigating, because you never know when you might be holding a piece worth $164 or more. And part of the thrill in coin collecting is that every coin is a little mystery waiting to be solved. Every pocket full of change holds the potential for a rare discovery, And with knowledge, patience, and a keen eye, you can turn a common-looking 2002 D5-cent Jefferson nickel into a valuable and exciting find. And the beauty of this hobby is that it combines history, artistry, and a bit of detective work, giving each coin a life beyond its face value. So keep searching, keep learning, and maybe your next coin find will be the one that tells a story and rewards you in more ways than one. And if you've enjoyed exploring the secrets of the 2002 D nickel and the fascinating world of coin errors, stay tuned because there are countless other hidden treasures in our change just waiting to be discovered. So keep watching, keep collecting, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more incredible coin stories and valuable tips. Last, today we are going to explore a coin that might still be hiding in plain sight in your change drawer or coin jar, the 2015 P5-cent coin, a Jefferson nickel from the Philadelphia Mint that in certain rare cases can be worth as much as $105, not because it contains precious metals or is centuries old, but because of the intriguing errors and mistakes that slipped past the Mint's quality control and turned an ordinary 5-cent piece into a modern treasure. And in this journey we will uncover exactly what these errors are, why they happen, how to spot them, and what makes collectors willing to pay such premiums for them. Now, to begin, we need to understand the origins of the 2015 P5-cent coin, minted in massive quantities for everyday circulation as part of the long-running Jefferson nickel series, featuring the familiar forward-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the year 2015, along with the mint mark P for Philadelphia, and the reverse displaying the iconic Monticello, Jefferson's historic home in Virginia, with the inscriptions "E pluribus unum, United States of America," and 5 cents. In normal condition, these coins are plentiful and spendable with no real collector premium, but when mint errors occur, they break the mold and become something far more desirable. Errors are unintentional anomalies that happen during the minting process, and they can occur at various stages, from planchet preparation to die creation to the striking of the coin itself, and in the case of the 2015 P nickel, several types of notable errors have been documented, and these are the key to its surprising value. One of the most visually striking and sought after is the off-center strike error, where the coin's design is misaligned because the blank planchet was not seated correctly in the press when the dies came together. This results in part of the design being shifted toward one side, leaving a blank crescent on the other side. The degree of off-center matters greatly to value, with slight misalignments bringing modest premiums and dramatic 50% or more off-centers fetching significantly higher prices, especially if the date and mint mark are still visible. Collectors love these because they are easy to spot and make for an impressive display piece. Another important error to look for is the die clash, which happens when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, transferring part of their designs onto each other, so that when a coin is struck afterward, ghost-like images of the opposite side's design appear where they don't belong. In a 2015 P nickel, this could mean seeing faint parts of Monticello on Jefferson's cheek, or traces of Jefferson's profile on the building's steps. These are fascinating to study because each die clash has unique patterns, making every example distinct. Then there are double die errors caused during the creation of the working dies themselves, when the hub impresses the design onto the die more than once but in slightly different positions. This results in noticeable doubling of letters, numbers, or parts of the design. For the 2015 P nickel, doubling could appear in the word "Liberty," in the date in Monticello, or in the reverse inscriptions, while minor doubling might not carry huge premiums. Dramatic examples are highly collectible and catalogued as distinct varieties, and error coin references another class of error that can boost the value of the 2015 P nickel is the partial collar strike, sometimes called a railroad rim, because when the coin is struck with the planchet partially outside the restraining collar, it produces a step-like or flanged edge around part of the rim. This is visually unusual and easy to identify. Broad strike errors are also worth mentioning, occurring when the collar die fails entirely and the coin is struck without its edges being restrained, allowing it to expand slightly larger than normal with a flattened rim. This can create a coin that is noticeably bigger than its standard counterpart, and stands out instantly when compared side by side with other nickels. On the planchet side of things, wrong planchet errors are rare but spectacular. For example, if a 2015 P nickel design were accidentally struck on a blank intended for a dime, or a foreign coin, the size, weight, and sometimes the color would be wrong. This could lead to a coin that looks thin or has an off-metal compositions such as being struck on copper-plated zinc intended for pennies or on cupronickel planchets for dimes. Such dramatic mistakes can command well over the average error coin premium. Lamination errors are another possibility caused by impurities or structural weaknesses in the metal, allowing layers of the coin's surface to split, peel, or flake away, sometimes revealing darker or lighter metal underneath. These can range from small chips to large missing areas, and while they do not always command the highest premiums, they can be very interesting for collectors specializing in minting flaws. Then there is the possibility of multiple strikes, which occur when a planchet is struck more than once by the dies, sometimes in perfect alignment, and sometimes with rotation between strikes. The more dramatic the shift or rotation between strikes, the more valuable the coin becomes. Imagine a 2015p nickel with Jefferson's face struck twice at different angles or with two overlapping images of Monticello. These are highly collectible because they are visually striking and rare. Misaligned die strikes are also worth looking for. These happen when one of the dies, usually the obverse, is out of alignment with the other, causing the design to be shifted relative to the coin's rim. These can be subtle or extreme and are distinct from off-center strikes because the planchet is seated correctly, but the dies themselves are not rotated or shifted. In the coining press, other rarities include die cracks and cuds, which occur as the dies wear or break during production. Die cracks appear as raised lines on the coin where metal has flowed into a fissure in the die, and cuds occur when a piece of the die breaks away completely, leaving a blank blob of metal where part of the design should be. Both of these can be minor curiosities or major value boosters depending on size, location, and eye appeal. For example, a large cut obscuring part of the lettering on the reverse of a 2015p nickel could be far more sought after than a tiny die crack in the field. Value in all these cases depends heavily on condition. The more pristine the coin, the higher the potential price, because serious collectors often prefer examples with minimal wear, bright luster, and strong eye appeal. Many high-grade error coins are discovered right out of bank rolls or mint sets before they have a chance to circulate and get dinged up, and that's why coin roll hunters keep a close eye on nickels from 2015 and other years with known error varieties, because the payoff can be significant in terms of percentage increase over face value, even if we are talking about a jump from 5 cents to over $100. In the case of the most desirable 2015p errors, it's the thrill of finding something rare and ordinary change that fuels the passion for searching and documenting these coins, and with the Philadelphia Mint producing hundreds of millions of nickels each year, it's inevitable that some number of flawed coins make it into circulation. Even with modern quality control processes in place, the 2015p 5 cents serves as a perfect reminder that even the most advanced minting equipment is not infallible, and errors will slip through, creating collectible treasures for those who know what to look for. So the next time you come across a 2015p nickel, take a moment to examine it closely under good lighting. Check for off-center strikes, doubled letters, ghostly die clash images, unusual edges, cracks, blobs, or peeling surfaces, because you just might be holding one of the rare error examples that transforms a common coin into a $105 prize in the world of numismatics. And if you've enjoyed this detailed deep dive into the story behind the 2015p 5 cent coin and its fascinating errors, be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join us for more thrilling explorations into the hidden treasures of everyday currency.